Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Global Happenings Today YouTube channel. We have 4 very interesting news to run. That one has to do with the fact that Peter Obi's safety and arrest may be imminent. A renowned prophet who 2 years ago, or better still 5 years ago, one of his preaching on the pulpit made a prophecy on the repatriation, arrest and detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu long before it took place, and it took place exactly how he prophesied it. He didn't stop at that prophecy. He said Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be arrested, detained, even at the peak of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's career in UK. He didn't stop there. He also talked about Peter Obi, but though he didn't mention Peter Obi, he mentioned Peter Obi that an Igbo man will come in where the North, East, West will come together. He will build bridges and they will support him for presidency of Nigeria. He made that prophecy about 5 years ago, barely 3 years after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been arrested, detained in Nigeria, and yet to be released even up till now. And now he's making another strong prophecy over Peter Obi's and over the fact that he should be careful. They may be coming for his arrest anytime soon. And of course, in other news, 3 very interesting news that have to do with the pressure being mounted on Peter Obi to let go of his petition. In 2 other news as well, Labour Party, where there's a call out for obedient party, and the last one where they're dragging APC chieftain over the overborrowing, and hear what the Labour Party spokesman has got to say about APC. All of these we're wrapping into one. But before we do that, kindly subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button. Beside it, you will see a bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as you update our channel on. Let's start with the fact that the spokesperson to Peter Obi have cried out over the pressure Peter Obi has to drop his petition. But Dr. Yenusa Tanko, spokesperson for the Labour Party presidential campaign committee in 2023 general election, has stated that Mr. Peter Obi is under pressure to drop his appeal at the presidential election court. It should be noted that Mr. Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar both lodged application at the tribunal requesting that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's victory in the last election be declared unconstitutional. Dr. Tanko stated this in an interview, saying that Mr. Peter Obi will not relent in bringing his case to its natural conclusion. Mr. Peter Obi, he claims, will never fall for any antics to the conclusion. Hear him out. He said, "I can assure you that Mr. Peter Obi is a true Democrat who will abide by the laws, rules and regulation, and because he's a true Democrat, he is in court and eager to follow the entire procedure. Peter Obi is under intense pressure to drop his case." In another news, very quickly, Babatunde Gbademosi, a Nigerian entrepreneur, has also decided to say something very strong. He said, there's a user suggesting the forming of a new political party for supporters of Peter Obi. And he said this, he said, "Look, I disagree with you on this, as a World Labour Party vice chairman that joined Labour Party because of Obi. I can categorically tell you that the people most of us met in Labour Party are of the old order, and I agree with you. I agree with you all of this, but except for the Labour Party thing. Rather, I would suggest we create an obedient party." But this is what he said that got that opinion. He said that if it were not for the huge numbers of the obedience in Labour Party, Lamide Apapa, Arambambi, and other co-travelers would have successfully sabotaged Labour Party's presidential election petition tribunal appearance and other tribunals across the country. Stay focused. Stay if you are a true obedient, and others will join you to take over the party. He now said, if you're a fake obedient, however, Arama Sakpa Enyo, as in maybe your body will pain you or something. Those who understand what he said, please. If I didn't pronounce it well, please correct me. Let's meet in that conversation on that. Tell us what he meant by Arama Sakpanyinyo. Then somebody that replied him that no, that he totally disagrees with him on this. He agrees with him on every other thing except for the fact that Nigerians should gather rather and form an obedient party. If you ask me, I think they should still stay in Labour Party, because if you want to put an obedient party, it will look as if it's only a Peter Obi party. And if you make it a Peter Obi party, that means others cannot even join in. Well, very quickly also, one of the veteran actors and also a legal member and a spokesperson to Labour Party have decided to call out APC over what they've been borrowing and spending. In fact, let me quote him word for word so you can have an understanding of what he said. He said, he said, and I quote, Kenneth Okonkwo said this, and I quote him, said, APC is so incompetent and dishonest that it borrows money before thinking of what to do with it. Nigeria is now living in bondage of debts. God, please deliver us. But why he said what he said, it was because of a statement by the World Bank, which read in part, the World Bank has approved $500 million for Nigeria for Women Program Scale Up NFWP-SU. The scale-up financing will further support the government of Nigeria to invest in improving the livelihood of women in Nigeria. Now, Kenneth Okonkwo had to say this, that we just keep borrowing without thinking, and it actually dragged APC to the whole drama. But in another news, which is the last one, there already a prophet who was 100%, permit me to use the word 99% accurate over the prophecy he made about the detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He made it 2 years before the detention took place, and the fact that there will be another person, an Igbo man, who will make wave and who will build bridges, and Nigerians from north, east, west, and south will come out and support him, and that the person of Nnamdi Kanu will not actualize Biafra on that year. Rather, he will be repatriated and be detained for a long time till another Igbo man emerged. 2 years after his prophecy came to pass, he has prophesied another one this time around, and this time around is for Peter Obi, and I guess Peter Obi should please take note. The Lagos-based prophet, pastor, Elijah Bamidele Ilukolo has said he saw a vision of Peter Obi in handcuffs. Report has it that Obi, who was the presidential candidate of the Labour Party LP in the just concluded 2023 election, is currently challenging the victory of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in court. Speaking to his congregation recently, the prophet Bamidele said he saw Obi in the custody of the Department of State Services (DSS) in Abuja. He warned Obi to be careful about what he says and the interviews he grants, as his words could be used against him. I quote him word for word. I saw handcuffs in the hands of Peter Obi, said Prophet Bamidele. This is my counsel for Peter Obi. Be careful. Because I saw, should I say, call it a gang up? I saw him in DSS custody so that his case will not be worse than the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I saw it very clear. Peter Obi should be very careful of what he says this period, of the interviews he grants, because they want to use his words against him. And I saw handcuff on his hands in DSS custody. Peter Obi, be careful of the kind of interview you grant. And of course, it should be noted that the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, P.O.B. Kanu, has been detained since he was brought back from Kenya in June 19, 2021 for alleged sponsorship of terrorism, among other offenses. Now, my colleague is in the house. You've heard what the prophet said about this issue of DSS detention, that he saw clearly. This is the same person who have made strong prophecies that came to pass. Don't forget that Prophet Feia sometimes did mention something about arrest too of Peter Obi. The prophecy may be delayed, may not totally be.
All right, for Peter Obi, I think he's in a very sensitive season of his life, and the man is that he should be careful of what he says. Now, apart from getting a word from a prophet who we know is very consistent with his prophecies and all of that, I feel that Peter Obi, looking at the circumstances and situations surrounding him, for example, what Arambabi said some few days ago, calling on IGP and also DSS to arrest Peter Obi for something very negligible, then you know that there's a plan already on ground to, if not totally arrest him, but get him invited and drill him for some days. Yes, it was going to cause a lot of screaming and shouting from Nigerians. But despite all of that, they still want him to fall into their net, maybe make a particular utterance that would trigger a lot of things. But we all know that Peter Obi is a very smart dude. In case it happened that forcefully they take him into custody, Nigerians, people will begin to vet his word and say, show us the reason why you are arresting this man. They'll point out a lot of things. So right now, just as they had said, I know there would be very provoking moments where, people will say things and will want to provoke him. But I know that he's a man trained in words. He knows how to talk. one of the things I've known about him is that he has never spoken out of emotions before. If you talk about that, one can say it's possible it can happen. But Peter Obi is going to be very difficult. But I think the reason why such things may likely happen to him is the fact that maybe the PEPT may not be in his favor. And that may call for some very sensitive reactions and all of that.
That's like preempting PEPT judgment. Probably
Yeah.
Let's see because all eyes are truly on the judiciary.
Exactly, all eyes are on
the European Union report
and all of that,
which is quite indicting to INEC. So I feel that even judiciary will be a bit careful. For me, PEPT may not even, for me personally, I feel PEPT may even push that ball to Supreme Court.
Yeah.
They will push it so that eventually when everything goes down, because like one diaspora man said very strongly, one of the groups that's calling for is to tell PEPT and the judiciary, said, look, you can do the same thing you did to Zodema. That you have the power to declare the president, just the same way you had the power to declare a governor. You unseat Emeka Hedion without flinching. On your word stood. Uzodinma became governor of Imo State till date. So if you can do that in Imo State, in Uzodinma's case, you can do it with Peter Obi with all the evidences in front of PEPT. So in all of this, I still see the hand of God in this, but then again, it's left for Peter Obi to do the needful. In all summary, you've heard what Kenneth Okonkwo said. You also heard what Tanko said. Tanko said something about the pressure mounting on Peter Obi to let go, to bow to the PEPT court case and let it go. And Kenneth Okonkwo was talking about the issue of APC government always borrowing ahead before thinking of what they'll use with the money. What's your take?
Okay, for the pressure, it's expected because, already we have seen some pastors talking about, calm down, we know the situations of things, just calm down and let the sleeping dog lie, And we've also seen most Nigerians, most of the obedience shifting ground. Some of them say, well, what this man is doing is almost exactly what we expected Peter Obi to do. He has removed subsidy, though we are suffering. Maybe there's something better in the future. So I know that there will be so much pressure on him. Some people, amidst political discussion, I've heard some people say, Peter Obi is still a young man. He has the next 5-10 years, to still contest and all of that. But, just like Peter Obi rightly say, I'm not against Bola Ahmed Tinubu being the president of Nigeria or APC still being on board. What I'm really against is the process. If you want to be called the excellency or want to be called excellency, then you must also enter into that seat with an excellent process. That's what he is contesting. And I feel that is very, very okay. But then I know that being a billionaire and someone who had also passed through this phase in his life before, though at a lower level, that state level, I know that Peter Obi have all it takes to stand any tough opposition or let me say any form of rage against him, changing his mind. He has the ability to stand against him. He has nothing to lose, but then he just wants things to be done right. You can't take my own rightful mandate without proving to me that you were better than me. If you must take it, then you must have gotten it via an excellent process, which all Nigerians will confirm truly you got it. So that's just the situation on ground. Then talking about the issue of this guy, Kenneth Okonkwo, about the issue of borrowing without thinking and all of that. Well, I may not really see it from that perspective. Reason being that already there are a long list of things to be done in Nigeria. And I feel that the president himself is trying to see how he can, with the limited resources he has, can fix all of this. Don't forget that just yesterday, there was a news that came out that Eurobond of about $500 million have just been paid. It was collected 10 years ago, and the time for it to be paid alongside the interest, it has been paid. So you now see that they are spell out expenses, whether it is fixed or it is, recurrent. It's already there. So I don't think at this state someone can borrow money and then doesn't know what to do with the money. That it's just my personal opinion. You can't borrow when expenses are surrounding you, when needs are surrounding you, infrastructure, insecurity, payment of salaries, everything is around, and you borrow money and you don't know what to do with it. It's not done anywhere. I feel that demanding for $500 million from these guys. He wants to see how he can push it into different sectors and get things done. That's just my position on this.
All right, that's good.